What's happening, everybody? Riley Crushing Cardboard here. Thanks so much for coming and checking out the channel today. If it's your first time here, this is Crushing Cardboard. At Crushing Cardboard, we do anything trading card game related. And if you like card games as much as I do, please make sure to crush down that subscribe button, and all those thumbs up are very well appreciated. Today we'll be talking about my take on what will be banned in the standard environment in Magic the Gathering tomorrow on Monday, or maybe even Tuesday. They said early next week, so I would imagine it's going to be Monday. They usually do their updates on Mondays, right? So everyone knows Untitled Nature's Wrath has been controlling the standard environment for quite some time, like 6 to 7 or even 8 months at this point, as it's been in every good deck. Usually the main win condition, or even just a solid plan B. It's always either in the main plan or the backup plan for winning the games in standard. And in the Omnath ramp decks, it just gets even better. Like you play, like Landfall came back, and we have Uro. It doesn't take too much to put 2 and 2 together, right? So the fact that Uro has been the top contender in all the best decks in standard for all these many months is definitely on everyone's radar that this is the card that has to go. But for other options of what they could ban to kind of like halt these ramp decks, they're not going to ban Omnath, they're not going to ban Lotus Cobra, right? Lotus Cobra has not been in standard in like going on 11 years since the first Zendikar set. We didn't see it last time, we saw it the first time, and that's not going to happen. It's the first time this card's been in standard for so long, so it's a brand new toy to play with. I really don't think they're going to be taking out a card like that. And there's 100 different ways to deal with this on such a cheap level. In the same set as Lotus Cobra, they gave us Spikefield Hazard and Bloodchief's Thirst. Both cards that very easily deal with Lotus Cobra in the early game. But whether you're going first or second, it's definitely a solid way to deal with Lotus Cobra early on in the game. There's plenty of ways to deal with Lotus Cobra early on, right? And Omnath is a brand new card. They're not going to ban a card like the day it comes out, the week it comes out, right? Like the week it becomes legal, technically, even though we've had the format in play for about a week now. There's definitely no way they're going to ban a brand new card, right? This card is brand spanking new. There's no way it's going anywhere. But other than Uro, what cards can they ban? I'm not too sure of many other cards they can really ban in standard, with it being so new and no one's really gotten a chance to explore the format yet. Uro has just been in every single top contending deck for 6, 7, 8 months now, right? So Uro is definitely the problem. Dealing with it the first time it escapes isn't the hardest thing to do, but the second, maybe even third time it escapes, it's almost impossible to deal with. And it's just it gains so much value. The aggressive decks can't attack through it. They just get time walk by all the life it gains, all the ramp it gives you. Getting Uro in a format when Landfall comes back is just insane, right? Like it definitely just enables so many different things. But like the main thing is the Omnath ramp decks. The Omnath ramp decks have just shown how powerful they are, but the non-creature card that I think enables this deck the easiest, non-creature card that enables this card the easiest, I think, is this pup right here, Fable Passage. It's not crazy, right? But it's still the only real fetch land we've had in standard since Khans of Tarkir, right? And even when we saw Pioneer come out, they immediately banned every fetch land that was legal in that time frame. So, outside of Fable Passage, of course. And Fable Passage has proven how powerful it is in these Omnath decks. I mean, we have Evolving Wilds as well, but I mean, they probably wouldn't ban Evolving Wilds, right? Like, that's just a really slow version of Fable Passage. But it essentially does the same thing. Fable Passage with Omnath as well as Lotus Cobra. Just the sequence of turn 2 Lotus Cobra, turn 3 Omnath, turn 4 Fable Passage, crack at a land, 10 mana available to your disposal is absolutely bonkers. So Fable Passage, I think, is the biggest enabler for these ramp decks, and that's my pick for what other card they can ban. But we've seen, if any of y'all have been paying attention to the SCG Championship going on this weekend, we've seen the Omnath decks are very relevant, but they're also losing a bunch. Like Sultai Control is insanely powerful. Like one of the most, both on the same day. Okay, so the most recent, like we have like Dimir Rogues, Mono Green Aggro, Adventure. That's a non-Omnath top 4, right? I'm pretty sure neither of these are playing. Okay, so there's one 4-color Omnath Adventure deck, which, I mean, sure, that's fine. It's another Omnath deck. Of course, it's gonna make the top list, right? Of course it will. It's Omnath. Deck's insane. This is where we're at right now. Deck's insane. Mono green aggro. I am so happy this deck is doing very well. I love mono green aggro. Yorvo is one of my favorite cards to come out in Throne of Eldraine. Card's absolutely amazing. Kazandu Mammoth is also a very powerful card. Just being like a 3-mana 3/3 that can just scale very well. Another card that works really good with Fable Passage. But I don't even think, yeah, they're not even playing Fable Passage in this deck. They probably could get away with it, but it's probably just like it's like a bad forest, right? So they really don't want to play it. But it's a 3-mana 5/5. Well, a 3-mana 3/3 that can attack as a 5/5. A+. Big fan of this card. Like Gemraze is another really powerful card that's just going in all these decks. This card is very, very sweet. Nessie and Hornbeetle. I haven't seen this thing. This is a saucy pick for this deck. It's really sweet. And you want to get another 2-drop, right? This is probably one of the better ones you could play. There aren't that many, so I mean, I would imagine that's pretty good. Swamp Shambler, you just don't have another good 1-drop, right? We don't have Pal Collector anymore, so that's kind of just a given. Okay, this top 4. Omnath Ramp, Omnath Ramp, Omnath Ramp, Omnath Ramp. Or Sultai Control, sorry. 3 out of 4 were Omnath Ramp and 1 was Sultai Control. These are all decks that play 4 Uros. I think one of them played 3. Yeah, this one played 3. But still, all of them are playing Uro. So Uro has just been dominating the format. We probably don't need to talk about Uro anymore. We all know it's out of here. The card's power level is just way too insane. It's got like the highest rate in every play deck. But if we look at the top listing, sure, this list is fairly old. Pretty much all of these cards have been rotated, like Aether Gust, the Shocklands, Nissa. They're all gone. All Hydroid Krasis, all these cards are gone from the format, right? So it's definitely an old list. But right here at the top is Fable Passage. The most common card in every deck is Fable Passage. Sure, I mean, it's just a very good land, right? It's the only real fetch that we have in the standard environment, which is like still powerful, but it's slow. But it was slow. Oh, well, it's not slow anymore. It was slow before we had Landfall, before we had Omnath. So if they want to stem the bleeding of these ramp decks, I think Fable Passage could be a pick to get banned. That's where I'm at. I think Fable Passage is probably going to get banned tomorrow. That's just my take. But as for anything else, I don't think they can really pick anything else. Omnath is a brand new card. Lotus Cobra hasn't been in Standard for almost 11 years. There's really just no point in banning either one of those cards. They're brand new. The format hasn't been explored enough to make those kind of decisions, to ban a brand new card. I mean, even Oko, we all know how great that card was, right? I played a lot of Oko, and it was fantastic. But we all know how broken Oko was. Even Oko had like 6 or 7 weeks in Standard before they decided to do anything about it. They gave people a chance to explore the format, but exploring the format with Oko meant you had to make your deck worse, right? Like you were playing 4 copies of Noxious Grasp in their deck. That card's not great in your main deck, and there's 0 white targets for it at that point. Nobody was playing white at that point at all. And it was just in there to deal with Vraskas and Okos and Hydroid Krasis. That's really it. Just because everything was green. There was nothing about white that mattered about it. It was just 2-mana destroy a green thing, and that was it. You had to make your deck worse to combat the format. That's a point where I don't enjoy playing Magic, right? Like putting these bad cards in or these sideboard cards in your main board to try to combat these formats feels bad to me. Of course, outside of that, there was Aether Gust, which every deck was playing green and red, pretty much all of them. Like Teamer Adventure, Sultai Food, all the top contending decks were just playing red cards, you know? Like an Aether Gust saying permanence, a red or green spell or permanence gets sent out of here. Card was insane. Like that's nothing. That's not a card I wouldn't really define as being bad. But it's also a sideboard card that you had to put in your main deck just to combat the format. It was definitely a way better card to be playing in your main board than Noxious Grasp was, right? And that's just me, but I don't think Noxious Grasp should have been in anybody's main board, but it had to be. But that's in the past. Oko's gone, but it's been reincarnated as Uro, pretty much. The mana cost of blue-green colorless has just been a problem for a while. You know, like Rogue Refiner was banned way back when. Oko was banned, and now Uro's going to be banned tomorrow. But as for anything else, I really don't think there's going to be any other cards banned. The format's still way too new. It's way too early to just make any decisions like that. But if there's going to be a second card banned at all, I think it'll be Fable Passage. But that's just me. As for anything else, I don't really think they can ban anything else. I don't think they should ban anything else. Cleave is a card that's seeing a lot of play in any deck that plays a mountain in it. But again, it's not really showing that relevance right now. But that's mainly because of Omnath, right? Like Omnath, like the first landfall trigger gives you 4 life. Against red aggro decks, outside of like Gruul maybe, that's like a time walk, right? Like they just get in at you for like 4 or 5 damage, and you play an Omnath, and then you play a land, and then just gain, or you just have an Omnath and play, then you play a land, and your following turn you just gain 4 life. You just time walk your opponent. They did nothing. They did nothing but tap their creatures and did nothing, right? So Omnath kind of like puts a halt on those. The main reason why Mono Green is so good is because it's very efficient in playing huge creatures very early in the game. Mono Red doesn't do that. They're just a bunch of tiny little dorks like squeaking in 1 or 2 points of damage, but in a wide board where Mono Green just want to go big rather than wide. But you know, I don't think there's going to be anything else banned. If there's going to be a second card that's banned, I really think it's going to be Fable Passage. So that's my take on the bannings for tomorrow. Thanks so much for checking out the video, everybody. If you enjoy card game content, make sure to crush down that subscribe button. And all those thumbs up are very well appreciated if you enjoyed this video. If you want to see some live gameplay, follow me over on twitch.tv/crushingcardboard for some awesome card game goodness. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you next time.